Welcome. You're tuning into Calligraphy Unscripted. I'm Christy Tony, a calligraphy expert with 16 years of experience. And in this podcast, you can expect storytelling, actionable tips, and mindset hacks to help you along in this discipline. So let's just jump right in and ink up. Welcome. If this is your first time here, warm greetings. Please pull up a chair and make yourself comfortable. If you are back, then thank you. I appreciate you listening. In today's podcast, I want to talk about how to get up off the mat. Why exactly might you be on the mat? Well, I'm talking about failure. I'm talking about catastrophic failure in your business. I'm talking about an experience that you had with a client that did not go so well. We're used to our social media feeds just churning out win after win after win for small business owners and other calligraphers that we may follow, but no one, and I mean no one, wants to broadcast their losses, or what I affectionately refer to as your L's. Now, I believe that everyone who has been in business for any decent stretch has gone through this. And if you have not, good for you. Keep living and running your business. It's bound to happen. Now, back in 2009 or 2010, I can't remember which year. I know it was one of those years. I got a bit over my skis and did a list of founders for a country club. That was the assignment. That was the commission that I accepted. So it was a list of founders. The job called for a parchment style paper, black letter calligraphy, and a decorative frame. They were actually buying a wooden frame for the piece to go in, but I was supposed to do a decorative frame around this list of founders' names. So think acanthus leaves, vines, gold, etc. I believe they gave me some reference to follow, and I wasn't intimidated by it. And I also remember going to look for my own as well, my own references that I was going to use. Now, I wasn't very competent back then in looking for references, so not sure what I pulled up for myself. But I also believe that there wasn't a ton available that was easily located. You probably needed a little savvy in order to locate some pretty good pieces on this, aside from having a book. But I did settle upon a style, and I went for it. I can't even remember if I shared or proof. I don't think that I did. I just think I came in, cocky, like, yeah, I can do this, blah, blah, blah. I don't have a picture of the finished piece, but I believe it may have looked a bit amateurish, even to an untrained eye, because the club's administrator that I was working with let me know after receiving the job that even though they were willing to compensate me for what I did, after careful and thoughtful consideration, they wouldn't be using it. So, the dagger, the twist, the demoralization. Okay, so let me explain to you what kind of calligrapher I was back then. Now, there's a chasm between the calligrapher that I am now and who I was back then. Back then, I was this lucky to be here, lucky to be hired, black unicorn repping my race in a mostly white space. I mean, I was just, oh my goodness. I can't even explain to you. That's a whole nother podcast. We'll get into that. But just talk about imposter syndrome. So I was absolutely demoralized, and I don't even think I asked her to articulate what was wrong with the job, since she didn't say why they wouldn't be using the poster. That is insane. I just told her that I didn't want to be paid for the work if they weren't going to use it, which was crazy at the time. But that's who I was. She insisted And they ended up paying me, likely so I would just go away quietly. And in my mind, they could locate a more competent calligrapher to get that job done. So, yeah, that, my friend, is an example of being placed on a mat. Either by a headlock or a punch in the gut, whatever you want to call it. So this podcast is going to be about how do you get up? How do you get up? You have to get up eventually, right? I want to share 3 ways that I think are good ways to bounce back from having an utter and catastrophic failure in your calligraphy business. Okay, so the first thing that I think you should do is you should allow yourself to experience the proper emotions about the issue. If it makes you sad, then that's where you have to live for a while. If you've been angered over it, then okay. Just don't suppress your feelings and act as if it didn't matter, because that won't help you grow. That won't help you learn. That won't help you evolve. Okay, so allow yourself to experience the proper emotions. 2, you need to properly categorize your experience. While my experience was absolutely the end of the world at the time, you should objectively examine what happened, and no matter who bears most of the burden or blame, know that it was an isolated incident. If most of your clients are satisfied customers and they both admire and appreciate the work that you did for them, then draw confidence from that fact. Now, while you can't predict future incidents, you can take steps to ensure that an event of this nature won't ever happen again. Okay? So just recognize it and categorize it as an isolated incident. And finally, 3, as a calligrapher, you should continuously work on your craft. Okay? I don't even think I did this back then, but if the same thing happened to me now, I'd be ordering paper and actually executing that job for myself. Forget the money. Forget the money. I would be talking to some of the more seasoned calligraphers in my life, and if you don't have one, you should have one. You should go get one. You want people who have been through this, who have a ton of jobs under their belts, a lot of experience, know their way around a broad edge nib. I'm telling you, I would be at their feet and I would be like, I need to do this project. I need your guidance. I need your help. But at this point in my career, that skill that I was lacking in would have mattered to me that much. Now, your personal process of practice and personal development should and will hopefully include a healthy introspection and dedication to hone your craft, all of that. But again, it might be a skill that you'll never really master. We're not going to master everything underneath this tent, this big tent of calligraphy. Some things you may just not be good at, especially if you're not going to invest in yourself and take a course or really, dedicate yourself to buying the supplies, sitting at a more seasoned calligrapher's feet, all of that. So you may not master it, but again, I think you should want to at least be competent with it. Now, maybe you're always going to refer a certain kind of project that comes your way because it's not your cup of tea, but you should still be curious enough as a calligrapher to know how to get through one of those projects if you had to. Okay? So just to recap, don't suppress your feelings about what happened. Allow yourself to experience your emotions, but don't stay there. Don't wallow. Okay? 2, properly categorize the experience. Isolated incidents are just that. Things that don't happen very frequently. And finally, lastly, continue to work. In that same story I told, a more mature calligrapher, someone more dispassionate, should have been able to ask why the the project was being rejected, because that data can only help you improve your craft. Don't miss the opportunity to get better from an L. Just remember, L's make you better. They make you tougher. Okay? So not always a bad thing. So it was great to get back in here and chat with you guys today as we get ready for summer. Although I'm busy with weddings and content creation, I am determined to enjoy Chicago this year, because summers in this city can be amazing. So I am ready. I hope you guys are ready to have a great summer in your city. I'm going to put a couple of resources in the show notes that I think will help you guys out. And until next time, bye. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I appreciate you listening. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Check out some of my problem-solving content in the show notes, and I'd love to connect with you on socials. I can be found on Patreon, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube under Calligraphy by CT. Until next time.